Welcome to my channel. Let's look at my dress. I'm going to show you how to pattern making, drafting an essential guide to tailoring. Ready to take your pattern making skills to the next level and achieve a pattern for a gorgeous, elegant. Let's finish this dress off so you can start wearing. We're all set to start. You can follow along with me. I just take 1 or 2 marker on the areas that I plan to take measurement. You can see this dot right here. This is gonna help us measure. You want to put a dot right at the end of that collarbone, and you're gonna measure from the base of the neck stem. So it helps to drag your finger down the base of the neck stem is where I'm going to start, and then I'm gonna measure out to the edge of that. I'm going to start measure with the shoulders and calculation what we measure. So those are out calculation, and we're ready to do the moulage guidelines. We're gonna start with the neck. Use the edge of your paper. You know it's straight. You don't need to establish a new straight line. We're just gonna use the edge for center front and draft out this way. I'm gonna square a line out. I'm going to draw 6 centimeters from the center front. I have to find the depth of the neck from the center front. Just drag your finger down from this crease right down here, and that will lead you to where you need to measure. I'm gonna position my tape, and I'm bringing this down to the on of the pen. I'm going to measure down from on the top corner 5 centimeters. See, there's a left here. I'm going to draw a 3 centimeters guideline right at 45 degrees. I now need to connect down. You can use a curve or you can freehand it. I'm also going to tie 0.5 centimeters elastic around the circumference of the above over bust. That is where the over bust depth should be measured. You're going to have to keep positioning this elastic if it's over a tank top. And that's fine, just keep checking it. I'm gonna position my tape, and I'm bringing this down to the bottom of the elastic. Always the bottom of the elastic. I'm going to mark 18 centimeters from the top of shoulder down. And I'm gonna draw like this. You can see I have a dot right here at top of shoulder. We're gonna measure the armhole depth. I'm gonna go straight up 15 centimeters from line over bust. I'm gonna draw a line here just like this, so the figure length is going to start top of neck. And I'm gonna find where 11 centimeters falls on the guideline. Now we're gonna measure our cross front. We're going from this crease here to this crease. I'm gonna position my tape and pull it tall. Okay, my cross front length is 31 centimeters. My cross front calculation in that is 15.5 centimeters, so I'm going to mark 15.5 centimeters from the center front. I'm gonna draw a line here just like this. Be sure to square your lines properly. Then we're going from this crease here to top of shoulder. Now I'm going to measure down from on the top of shoulder to this crease. I'm going to mark 11 centimeters from the top of shoulder down. I'm gonna draw a line here just like this. We're gonna measure the bust in the center of the breasts right here. Take my bust measurement divided by 4. I would add 1 centimeter for that. I'm going to mark 25 centimeters from the center front, and I'm gonna draw a line here just like this. I have my fingers here. You're going to measure from the center of the breasts to the center of the breasts. On the over bust guideline, I'm going to mark 5 centimeters from the center front. And then you want a fairly straight line from the over bust down. Then I'm gonna draw a line here just like this from the top of shoulder down to the crease. Next, we're going from this dot of the neck to the center of the breasts. The figure length is 23 centimeters. I'm gonna mark 23 centimeters from the neck, and I'm gonna draw a line here just like this. I now need to connect here. We're gonna look at this calculation here. It's the difference between the over bust round and the bust round, so our over bust round here is 22.75 centimeters. And then the bust round we have 24.25 centimeters, so the difference between 24.25 centimeters and 22.75 centimeters is 1.5 centimeters. I'm gonna use a 1.5 centimeters dart, and I want to split that dart. Now on place 0.75 centimeters on each side and connect the line. This is how you get your dart placement. See, there's a right angle here. I'm going to mark 1.5 centimeters right at 45 degrees. I now need to connect down. When you measure your waist, it should be in line with the smallest part of the side. This is the natural waistline. Now I'm going to measure down from on the top of shoulder. And then I'm straight down through the waist elastic, bottom of the waist elastic. I'm going to mark 38.5 centimeters from the top of shoulder down. I'm gonna draw a line here just like this. This below bust measurement is gonna help us get the waist dart. It's the difference between the bust round and the below bust round is 2.25 centimeters. I'm gonna use a 2.25 centimeters, and I want to split that dart. Now on place 1 centimeter on each side and connect the line. This is how you get your dart placement. Then we're gonna measure the waistline, and when we do a moulage we really want to accentuate that waist. Take my waist measurement divided by 4. My waist calculation is 19 centimeters. I have a 2.25 centimeters dart in there. So really I can just measure 21.25 centimeters and make a mark. I'm gonna connect this up bust line. So there's side seam. We're gonna measure the side seam and side body. We're going from the over bust round to the waistline. It's the difference between the side seam and side body. So our side seam is 21 centimeters. And then side body we have 19 centimeters. So the difference between 21 centimeters and 19 centimeters is 2 centimeters. I'm gonna use a 2 centimeters dart, and I want to split that dart. Now on place 1 centimeter on each side and connect the line. This is going to be our side dart. When you measure your hip, it should be in line with the widest part of the rear. Now I'm going to measure down from the waistline to the hip. This is 19 centimeters. And I'm gonna draw from the waistline down is 19 centimeters. I'm gonna measure the hip. My hip round is 90 centimeters. I would add 2 centimeters for adding flare it here. And take my hip measurement divided by 4. I'm gonna draw 23 centimeters from the center front. And I now need to connect up. My belly button is about right here. And I'm going to tie it around. That is where the abdomen should be measured. Let's find the of the dart here at the bottom. We're gonna measure up from waist down. Then I'm going to draw my dart. We're going from the waistline to the abdomen round is 9 centimeters. I'm going to mark 9 centimeters from the waist. I now need to connect up. I have my fingers here at the hip, and I'm measuring the way down to the knee. It's also your dress length later on. My dress length is 40 centimeters. I'm gonna draw 40 centimeters from the hip down. My width knee calculation, and that is 22.5 centimeters. I'm going to mark 5 centimeters from center front, and I'm gonna connect up. What we're gonna do is put in our knee shaping, is 1 centimeter for shaping. We just finished the front and now we're moving on to the back. The front is much more involved than the back, so I think this will move along a little quicker. In the back, we're gonna be drafting from the waist. Remember, my side body is 19 centimeters. I'm going to mark 19 centimeters from the waist up and I'm gonna draw like this. Now we're gonna measure the overbust depth. We're going from this dot of the neck down. I'm straight down through the elastic bottom of the elastic. I'm gonna draw 22 centimeters from the overbust round up. I'm going to draw 6 centimeters from the center back. See, there's a left angle here. I'm going to mark 5 centimeters guideline right at 45 degrees. I now need to connect down. You can see I have a dot right here at top of shoulder. We're gonna measure the armhole depth. I'm gonna draw 20 centimeters from line over bust up. The figure length is going to start top of neck and I'm gonna find where 11 centimeters falls. On the guideline, I'm gonna mark my tape and we're gonna measure our cross back. And honestly, it is much easier, just like this, crease to crease. For my tape, my cross back calculation that is 16 centimeters. So I'm going to mark 16 centimeters from the center back. I'm gonna draw a line here just like this. Then we're going from this crease here to top of shoulder. Now I'm going to measure down from on the top of shoulder to this crease. I'm going to mark 15 centimeters from the top of shoulder down. I'm gonna draw a line here just like this. This is cross back. I now need to connect from the top of shoulder to the crease. Remember, my bust round is 93 centimeters. Take my bust measurement divided by 4. I have my back is 25 centimeters. I'm gonna draw 25 centimeters from the center back. See, there's a right angle here. I'm going to draw a 5 centimeters guideline right at 45 degrees. I now need to connect down. We're gonna center the dart so half of bust. Then I'm going to put in my dart, the waist dart in the back. And we want in the dart to add up to the same width as the front. This is pattern making basics. I've traced of my master pattern is to preserve that pattern. So you can draw in your support pieces later on, which we'll do in another lesson. Right now, let's start drafting for this particular dress. I'm also going to tie elastic around the circumference of the low hip. That is where the low hip depth should be measured. I'm going to mark 10 centimeters from the hip round down. And I'm gonna draw a line just like this. I would add 5 centimeters for adding flare at the knee. And I'm gonna bring this also up to the low hip, and then you want a fairly straight line from the low hip down. So I'm just going to draw this and straight down here to the base. Okay. So straight down, whatever length you want to use. I would add 3 centimeters for shaping it here. I'm going to add seam allowance on all sides, the sides 1 centimeter, the hem 2 centimeters, and then cut with seam allowance. In my dress, you can see there are no darts on the front either. So I've cut pattern on the waist front. Then what we want to do is shave off this dart. I'm going to put an X through the waist dart. My dart is measuring 2 centimeters. I'm going to come in 2 centimeters at the side to shave this dart off, and I'm going to blend it the abdomen. On your pattern, you should have a line that goes from the center front to the high figure point and dumped everything into that center front. Let me put paper in here just to show you that you can stop right here and have a center front dart. We're gonna look at is the shoulder. We have a 5 centimeters shoulder in the front, so we're going to come in from the end of shoulder here. Lower portion of the pattern, we're gonna draw straight up to make our cowl. This needs to be a right angle, and on cowls this is a right angle that helping us from the cowl. What I'm going to do is fold on this line and trace that line off. It's a nice soft fold that you have. Now we want to do our facing. You want to come down at least 8 centimeters. At the side I'm gonna come down about 5 centimeters here. You can use a curve, and I now need to connect down. There's the line for my facing. Here's my traced out back. We're gonna start the princess seam at the cross back. I'm gonna draw this in here, and you can decide the shape, whether you want it a little flatter or a little more curved. and here as we did in the front. Here's my princess seam. I would add 1 centimeter at the knee, and I'm gonna bring this also up to the low hip, and then you want a fairly straight line from the low hip down, so I'm just going to draw this in straight down here to the base. I'm going to add seam allowance on all sides, the sides 1 centimeter, the hem 2 centimeters, and then cut with seam allowance. Now let's take out side piece here, cutting along my princess line, and what we do is cut this dart away. Here I would add 1 centimeter on either side at the knee, so I'm just going to draw this in straight down here to the base. I'm going to add seam allowance on all sides, the sides 1 centimeter, the hem 2 centimeters, and then cut with seam allowance as we did in the front. We're going to measure in from the end of shoulder 5 centimeters. We need this 5 centimeters back shoulder to match the 5 centimeters in the front. We're going to continue the center back line up, and I can come down a little bit less, maybe 3 centimeters. Cutting along my princess line, and what we do is cut this dart away. Let's start cutting. So here is the fabric I shall be using. It's a woven fabric. It stretches side to side, but not up and down, and that'll be a great choice for anything. Choosing fabrics is one of the most fun parts of making a new garment, and especially making it to your style. I did was fold the fabric in half. I'm going to lay out my pattern. I'm cutting 2 of the same. Mark all the notches for matching up later. This is going to be for the back of the dress. This is going to be for the front of the dress. I too did was fold the fabric in half, and I'm cutting below 1 piece on 1 piece. On the front either, I've cut this on the straight grain. You can cut this on the bias grain. I need cut my strip. I've cut this on the bias grain, width 3 centimeters. Now I need to sew my strip. Actually, I'm gonna press up my strip on 2 sides. That will make it easy when it comes time. Because this is a bias, you want to be really careful with it. This fold right here, we want to stitch right about there, just a scant distance. Then I need to sew my zipper. Is that invisible zips, and sew the remaining of the center back seam until I get down to the hem. Good use of the iron here makes the job easier and will guarantee professional results. Now I am just going to sew the pieces together. Be sure that the right sides of the fabric are facing each other. So pin all round, matching the notches when you sew it. All together later on they will match up perfectly. I'm going to stitch all the way down to the end. Then it should look like this. Now I'm just going to sew the pieces the front. I sew strip next, and now we're ready to hand stitch the stitching line down. I am going to hide the stitching line so that they're nice and tidy. Let's just see what that looks like from the face of the garment. We barely see it. Now I sew the shoulder and address some finishing details. I've already measured and pressed the hem up, and now we're ready to hand stitch the hem up. I'm done. That's looking great. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you liked this video. Be sure to subscribe for more sewing videos. I see you next time.